What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Chip Overseas. Today I got a special topic for you guys. Is this the most dangerous play in basketball right now? In case you've been living under a rock, in case you didn't know, the NBA has an Achilles problem. By that I mean a lot of players went down this season with the Achilles tear. Typically an Achilles tear is going to take you out for a whole calendar year or more, depending on different variables. Most famously, we've seen Aaron Rodgers come back in a different sport, but still a high-level athlete. He came back from an Achilles tear within a year. But then you got guys like Kevin Durant that needed 400 plus days to come back from this Achilles tear. And most famously, we had Tyrese Halliburton recently go down in Game 7 of an NBA Finals. A Game 7 that was winnable by the Indiana Pacers, especially if they have their starting point guard. So the ACL tear literally affected the product in the NBA. In the biggest game of the year, somebody goes down, a key player goes down. And I saw a tweet that said the reason why guys are going down with the Achilles tear is the negative step. For those of you that don't know, the negative step in basketball is the step that you take before you take your first step going forward. So you'll take a step back in order to go forward. I thought about that topic and I'm like, the negative step is not taught to amateur players. Most amateurs do not take that negative step, and that's for a few reasons. Let me tell you why. At the high school level and the college level, the court is a little bit smaller. In the corners, you don't really have as much space between the three-point line and the out-of-bounds line. Think about in the corners and even deep wing area, like right before you get to that 45-degree angle. If you catch the ball in those spots and you take your negative step going backwards before you go forwards, you're most likely going to step out of bounds. In the high school and college game, you don't really need your first step to be incredible. This is the thing that most NBA and basketball fans don't think about. The importance of the first step at the pro level is so much more highlighted than it is at the amateur ranks for a few reasons. At the pro level, it's harder. Guys are more athletic. The game moves a lot faster. You need to be able to keep up. You need to be able to create advantage at a high clip. How can I get the advantage on the defense? When you're doing your negative step, it's to speed up your first step, right? You take that back step to go forward even stronger, even faster. And your first step becomes quicker. In the NBA, that's more important because there's no weak side help. That's what this is all about. Once I beat my man, once I beat the person in front of me, I have an easy runway to the basket. That's 2 points. At the high school and college level, you don't necessarily need that same urgency when it comes to that first step, because once you beat your person in front of you, there's going to be somebody waiting in the paint, just hanging out. A lot of high schools nowadays are running 2-3 zones, 3-2 zones, 1-3-1. So there's always a guy that's just in the paint, and it's going to be a big man. The idea is the negative step at those ranks are not seen as fundamentally sound for these reasons. You might step out of bounds on a corner catch, or you're just going in a rush to go nowhere. That's why it's not necessarily taught until you get to the pro levels. However, this is not a new concept. The negative step is something that naturally players will do. If you go back and look at MJ clips, every single one of his drives off the catch where he was just jabbing, and he already has the ball, he doesn't have a live dribble, he always puts that foot back. It's just natural because you're just getting a little bit of extra momentum. But here's where it gets interesting, because that advantage that you get with the negative step is something that they try to limit you once players travel to different countries to play. So when you go overseas, they take certain things away from you. Let me explain. Like I said before, the negative step is to create more of an advantage on your first step when you don't have that live dribble. It's interesting that when you go overseas as an American playing in international leagues, so if you play in EuroLeague, Euro Cup, FIBA Champions League, whatever the case is, the Spanish domestic league, whatever it is, the way that they level the playing field when it comes to talent, because a lot of Americans are just naturally more talented than the players in these, specific regions, is they take that first step away by when you're ripping through, right? Let's say you're going right. You can't pick up your right foot until that ball bounces. So what they teach overseas is as you're ripping through, you have to bounce it on the way to your first step, and it slows down your first step that much more. Reason being is, like I said, they don't want us to just go over there and blow them by everybody because it's too hard to guard. And so these little things are what they implemented overseas. But now, if you bring it back and look at the NBA product, if people think, all right, you think that the reason why people are getting injured with their Achilles is the negative step, take it away. Teach the dribble into your first step. It's going to be a slower game. You're not going to score as much points. But if they actually think, and Adam Silver just came out with a statement today saying that they're going to use AI to try to decipher why there's been so many Achilles tears and ACL tears this year. It may come down to let's limit the first step. That's going to be a little bit different game, but also you got guys like Trae Young that doesn't rely on the first step, that is going to benefit way more. So it's an interesting topic for guys to talk about. Me personally, the reason why I think that there's a lot of Achilles tears is not that negative step. I think that the way guys train now is different than how they used to train. So now it's all about the flexibility. All your ankle muscles and ligaments are like rubber, right? So you're trying to like bend the rubber as much as you can. So it's just used to that kind of movement, that kind of flexions. And the reason why I think that there's so many tears is because there's not enough strength building now. You know, guys aren't looking like how they looked in the 80s and 90s where everybody was like this. Yeah, they were like this. They might not have been as fluid. Their movement patterns might be a little bit more choppy, but their muscles and ligaments were stronger, in my opinion. Because the more you stretch, the less muscle and strength you can add around those joints. Another thing that is very interesting is the style of play that you see now. It comes at a cost. So when you see a guy like Tyrese Halliburton, he's really good because he's shifty, he's tall, he's about 6'5", 6'6". He's shifty, he's doing step backs, he's doing side steps, one-legged push-off, side step, Euro step crazy. And like these moves that you're seeing now takes that much more of a toll on the body. So it's kind of a catch-22 because the more flexible you are, the more you're better suited for that game. Like think about a guy like Charles Oakley. Like nowadays, a guy like Charles Oakley might have to guard a Kevin Durant. But can he do what Kevin Durant does on offense? No. Might he be able to stay in front of him? Possibly. But the guy like Kevin Durant, the big man nowadays, is going to be a flexible big man. So he's going to be able to get around you in like awkward angles and use his body to contort in order to, manipulate you as a defender. But that's also going to lead to those injuries, in my opinion. So it's all about the way guys train. There's a famous Instagram account called Knees Over Toes that he pushes the flexibility. And he was kind of one of those guys that kind of led the new wave of people finding out about the holistic side of basketball and, do yoga, be a vegan, stretch, and these are great things and it makes the product look great. You're going to score a lot of points like this. However, maybe the PJ Tucker molds is not so bad. But that's what I think. Let me know what you guys think. The negative step in basketball, is that something that they need to address and think about changing in order to make the product a longer lasting product? Because let me tell you guys something. The NBA ain't taking less games. I've seen that argument a couple times, like, oh, they're playing too many games. They just signed a TV deal worth $20,000 billion. Trust me, they're not limiting games. Those guys, the rights are already allocated where they need to be. YouTube TV, you got Prime Video, you got NBC, all these people, they're all got their games. If anything, they're going to add on games. That's why Adam Silver came out with that statement, in my opinion. Oh, yeah, we're going to have AI look at it and figure out where we need to tighten up at. Because it's not going to be the bottom line. It's not going to be, yeah, you know what, let's go from 82 to 65. That's not happening. So what do you guys think should be the fix to these Achilles and ACL tears Is it something that's actually happening on the court, or is it something that's happening in the weight room? Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. You guys know who it is, Chip Overseas. And until next time, peace.